Today I'm in the beautiful city of Edinburgh, more specifically in the Port of Leith along the waterfront. You wouldn't expect it down here, but just sitting offshore is a luxury boutique hotel on a decommissioned Lighthouse supply ship built back in the 1960s. So join me as we check into this very special hotel in an equally special 2-story suite and see if it's worth the money. So this is unlike any hotel I've reviewed yet. Fingal was a real ship built back in 1963 as a Lighthouse Support ship for the Northern Lighthouse Board. She was built to bring supplies and staff to various lighthouses across Scotland. After serving decades under this purpose, she would be decommissioned in the year 2000. Following this, the vessel would be renamed to Windsor Castle and served various duties under a new private owner. Ultimately, in 2008, the vessel was acquired by the Royal Yacht Britannia Trust, the non-profit which has owned the formal Royal Yacht Britannia since 1998. The idea was to add a hotel component to the Britannia visits, as well as a new revenue stream for the trust. So, following a 6-year negotiation for the purchase, the renamed Fingal would be towed back to the Port of Leith and embarked on an extremely expensive £5 million renovation to turn it into a floating hotel. The overall superstructure and design of the ship did see some decently major alterations. Her foredeck had been raised to accommodate a new banquet hall, while the upper decks and superstructure were expanded to accommodate other amenities like the restaurant. The new interiors were designed by Alan Pedley and Stephen Flanagan, who created something truly stunning. Ultimately, the Fingal would open as one of the most luxurious and unique floating hotels in January of 2019. I've known about it since my last trip to Edinburgh, but never got a chance to check it out. Thankfully, my parents decided to travel to the UK for the first time recently, and upon joining them and taking the train from London to Edinburgh, I finally got to check it out. So upon checking in, we were brought to our room by the friendly staff at the front desk. We booked a classic duplex suite, one of only 2 on board. Upon first impressions, this space defies all expectations, genuinely. Not only is it surprisingly spacious, but the duplex is incredibly luxurious and very well appointed. Clearly, a lot of time and thought went into the design here, as the colors and materials all create a very upscale, yet comfortable, classic look, right in line with what I would imagine a classic luxury yacht to be. Upstairs, you have your lounge area and desk. There's a comfortable sitting area complemented by some reading material, along with a desk area featuring coffee and tea, as well as some nice treats and a welcome box of chocolate, along with a handwritten note welcoming you to the hotel. Upstairs is also where you'll find the closets. These are all beautifully leather wrapped, with the interior featuring impressive custom millwork from solid wood. Adjacent, you'll find the mini fridge, stocked with bottles of purchasable alcohol along with other small treats. While I would prefer an empty fridge, I did like how the prices were pretty reasonable compared to some other luxury hotels I've stayed in. Downstairs, the luxury continues on. Once you descend down the slightly steep staircase, you arrive in the bedroom and ensuite, which occupies the entire lower level of the suite. The bed here is wonderful. The mattress, which I think is only a queen size, is a medium soft firmness, which is my personal preference. This is while the sheets feel soft and premium, all topped off with a fluffy duvet, which makes for a fantastic sleep. Beyond the beautiful wood bed frame, you also get plugs on each bedside table, a medium-sized TV on the wall, and plenty of space to put your belongings across the built-in furniture. Like I said, there's also a bathroom down here, and the ensuite is pretty cool. Because this duplex suite is located at the aft of the vessel, the walls curve into a shape that contours with the structure of the hull, something that is especially pronounced here in this ensuite. So for example, when you enter the toilet room, the walls here, which actually look like they're made from cork, are severely slanted. But things get even more intense in the shower area, perhaps shaping the coolest shower I have ever seen. Here you'll also find a rather small vanity that unfortunately doesn't provide a whole lot of space to put your stuff. However, there is a small shelf to the left of it that more than made up for it. At least we didn't have to put our stuff on the floor like we did at the Fairmont Royal York. The details in here really do elevate the space. The floors are heated, which is a very nice touch, and more than I could say about the Ritz London, and the fixtures in here are just superb. Continuing on with the nautical theme, naturally they look like rounded gauge knobs and feel extremely solid. It's all topped off with premium toiletries from Noble Isle, a local brand which honestly is probably the best smelling bath soap I have ever seen. They even give you multiple scent choices, which is so cool. Really, everything in this room feels top quality with thoughtful details throughout, including multiple live plants, which I always do appreciate. And because each room is named after a lighthouse that the Fingal once serviced throughout northern Scotland, the design motifs within the rooms play a subtle nod to them. Our room was called the Mole of Kintyre, and just above the top of the staircase, there's a beautiful piece of artwork calling back to that name. And because we are in a ship, throughout the suite you have various portholes providing natural light, some with wooden blinds that can be controlled by a remote. Overall, just the colors and textures alone go so far here, from the tasteful patterns on the carpet and the warm textured wallpaper to the rope lining the ceiling. It's all so well executed and really does make for one of the best hotel rooms I have ever stayed in. But what about the rest of the hotel/ship? Well, before we take a look at the rest of the Fingal, I wanted to take a quick moment and thank this video's sponsor, Storyblocks. Storyblocks is a stock media subscription service that, I no joke, have been a continuous user of for nearly 8 years now. Not only are their plans very affordable, but Storyblocks offers unlimited downloads of high-quality media, all for that predictable subscription cost. You might have noticed some of the 4K aerial footage of Edinburgh seen in this video. By subscribing, you also feel safe with their straightforward and quite generous licensing, so you don't have to worry about the legal rights of using downloaded media. So to get started with unlimited stock media downloads at one set price, head to storyblocks.com/brightssuntravels or click the link in the description below. Anyways, let's get back on board. Fingal has 4 public decks for guests to explore. The top deck features the hotel's signature eatery, the Lighthouse Restaurant and Bar. It's open for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and afternoon tea. While the dinner reviews here are fantastic, I think one of the highest rated hotel restaurants I've yet to see, we unfortunately didn't get a chance to try it. We did, however, join them for an early evening cocktails, which were very good. We also ate here for breakfast, which was likewise really great. The menu proudly proclaims that much of the options are locally sourced, and as a guest, for breakfast, you can choose as many complimentary items as you want. The restaurant that this is all served in is also gorgeous. It carries on with the classic nautical touches with warm wood tones and green marble, but also the glass water ripples and the steel dividers and the shimmering ceiling panels. It's all tied together with well-directed and subtle lighting. It's a stunning space that I absolutely love. This deck also features some outdoor space, a relatively tight deck that wraps around to the front. This is where you'll find the former bridge area. It's now been turned into a small conference room and a private dining space. But this is also a really cool area. Not only does it have a bridge wing that you can still tour with a real telegraph in its place, but on the bridge you'll find paintings and photos of the ship in service, along with a series of authentic logbooks that date all the way back to the vessel's first years in service. Guests are welcome and encouraged to flip through them, which I just think is so cool. Below this deck is mostly just guest rooms, along with an outdoor patio with some plush furniture, likely in use when it's not very windy and cold like it was when we visited. While there is an outdoor staircase as well as a central indoor one, you can also take the glass circular elevator, taking the space that was once the exhaust casing leading to the funnel. This extremely slick elevator will lead you right to the lobby area on deck 1. Here you'll find a modest reception desk as well as the banquet hall, even though this space is rarely in use for guests. Still though, this is also such a cool space. Retaining many of the same design motifs found ship-wide, this cavernous room can hold a decent amount of people and also features an elevated band platform, walls that contour around the ship's forward hull, a small bar, and a skylight in the place of the former cargo hatch. It's actually an impressive space that doesn't seem like it should be able to fit inside the vessel. On the other side of the lobby, you'll find a guest hallway that leads to the top floor of our room. Just beyond that is another aft outdoor space with a door that is generally kept open to let in fresh air. But finally, the bottom deck has one last secret space. By either taking the public stairs, elevator, or by opening up the lower deck door in our suite, you can access another guest hallway. This one is special though, as it's an elevated and glass enclosed walkway over the former engine room. Oh man, this is so cool. You can just stand here forever observing all of the original interesting machinery and workings that made this ship function. All of which, by the way, in seemingly impeccable condition. We were told by a staff member that a lot of it had been carefully and thoughtfully restored for public viewing. And while this power plant is impressive in and of itself, the fact that it's presented in both a functional walkway, but also an incredible exhibit for guests, is just such a genius, incredible touch. It really does cement this hotel as something truly special. Okay, so how much do we pay for our suite then? Despite the chilly and windy weather, we actually visited during a popular time in early June, so prices were a bit higher than they would be during the off-season times. For our one-night stay, I paid £577, or around $782 USD. Remember, that's for our large 2-story suite. Each room also comes with breakfast, as well as 2 complimentary tickets to the Royal Yacht Britannia, which apparently never expire. The Britannia tickets alone for 2 people are around £40. Now during off-peak times, you can book one of the classic cabins, which is the lowest category they offer, with the king bed for around £260 a night. By going up a category to a luxury cabin with more room and some direct outdoor space, those are priced at around £325. Our room, a classic duplex suite, comes in at a low of £440 a night, while the larger, and I think less interesting luxury duplex suite can start at £528 a night. The most expensive and largest suite on board, the Scurryvore suite, which has a full dining room and access to the entire bow deck, can be had for around £880 a night. Considering that the Fingal has just 22 cabins and is this luxurious, I honestly think that is pretty fair pricing for what you get. Also, as far as 5-star hotels go in Edinburgh, this is certainly comparable, as the also fantastic W Edinburgh starts at around £220, and the famous Balmoor Hotel can get as low as £350. Both are their own animals, and honestly make for a pretty affordable city if you want a 5-star experience. Certainly more so than a city like London. Fingal just brings that uniqueness to another level though. However, there is also another smaller ship you can stay in just down the road. The Ocean Mist is a smaller vessel, but also refurbished in a luxurious fashion, and while the whole experience is highly rated, it's just not quite at the same level as the Fingal. Though their prices account for that, as the lowest category room on the off-season can start at a low of £165. So honestly, that might be a great alternative if you want something similar to this, but you're on a tighter budget. But let's actually break this all down and give it a Jake's Is It Any Good score. It's based on 5 categories, each out of 10, for a potential perfect score of 50 out of 50. We'll start with the location, which I initially thought was going to be the low point here, since it's so far from Edinburgh's city centre. However, the Fingal is located in close proximity to a ton of highly rated restaurants and shops all around the harbour area. It's also no more than a 10-minute walk away from a full mall and the Royal Yacht Britannia. Crucially though, it's also right next to the Port of Leith stop for the Edinburgh tram. We actually used that tram a few times to easily get downtown, but you can also take it all the way to the airport. So honestly, I think it's in a pretty good location, all things considered, which is why I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Now, amenities are objectively lacking for this price point. Obviously, there's no pool, unless you jump into the harbor, nor any quick service option or spa or anything like that. Again, it's a 22-room ultra boutique hotel. That said, the amenities it does have are incredible, with Britannia and breakfast included with all rooms, and all of those amenities pretty much being at the highest quality level possible. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Luxury and quality is likewise incredible then. The interior design was some of the best I've ever seen, embracing the character and story of the ship's nautical history. The thought, the time, the money, and especially care that has been put into basically every aspect of this property is clearly evident, and it's an easy 10 out of 10. Service is another strong category, with a very caring and kind reception team, a friendly and attentive waitstaff, and even when you're out and about, staff are always stopping by to say hello and enthusiastically telling you all about the vessel. They were great, and it's another 10 out of 10. Finally, there's value. Even with the strict constraints of the vessel that they're working with, the Fingal seems to make everything they have on board the very best it can possibly be. At the end of our stay, even though what we paid was objectively very expensive, I didn't feel like it was greedy or overpriced. This is a tiny hotel, but done in the best way possible. I was personally completely satisfied with what I paid, and I think it's a 9 out of 10. That brings the total score to 44 out of 50. A truly fantastic score, the second highest I have ever reviewed on this channel. Overall, the Fingal is amazing. I had seen pictures prior and knew I wanted to see it myself, but when I actually stepped on board, I was blown away by the quality of the work done here. I was beyond impressed with almost every aspect of the property, and god, do I not only wish there were more hotels that cared this much about their products, it also makes me wish there was a cruise ship that looked like this somewhere. This is such a no-brainer, beautiful design that it could go so well for a cruise ship or some sort of nautical experience. That is something that isn't, £10,000 for a week like the new Orient Express ship. Really, everything here at the Fingal has been so well executed in the hard and soft products, and this is something that I would really highly recommend, especially if you're interested in nautical history. But even if you don't choose to stay here and you're just looking for a few drinks or dinner one evening, I think a stop here might be worth it. Really, this whole area of Edinburgh seems to be rather underrated. A lot of great restaurants, a very beautiful area, something you should definitely check out if you're in the area. Okay, so that's my take on the Fingal, but what do you think? Have I been blinded by my love of nautical wood tones again? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway guys, my name is Jake, and thank you very much for watching.